Hoodie! The voice interrupted my dreams, intruded upon them, and I woke instantly. Carl? It took me a moment to realise it was not Carl, that it could not be Carl. But at the first, instantly roused as I was, it seemed as if he was in the room, calling to me, requesting my assistance. It was his voice, unmistakably, his own dear voice. Only Carl called me Hoodie. It was his nickname for me and stemmed from my given name of Patrick Hood. Everyone else called me Pat, or Paddy, or Patrick, or Mr. Hood. I checked the clock on the bedside table. It was 2:13 a.m. Cole Clayton Bligh was the best friend a man could ever wish for, on land or on sea. It was his job that had both brought him to me and taken him away for periods. He was a junior officer on steamships. I was a clerk in the shipping office, where our paths first crossed. In the spring of 1914, having risen quickly through the ranks, he was assigned to the SS Ballantine as third officer. The Ballantine was one of the older, smaller ocean-going liners and was fast approaching the end of her years of sterling service, but even now was still popular with the band of passengers who valued comfort over speed, and those who had known her and loved her since her youth. Carl saw it as a very definite step up the career ladder, as the vessel was so well regarded, and he had been very much looking forward to this new appointment. He had looked so bold and so handsome in his uniform, and so proud when he bid me farewell on the dock upon his departure. For my part, I felt proud simply to be seen in his company. It was several days after the Ballantine had set sail that I woke, hearing his distinctive ejaculation, and later that following morning that I heard the devastating news. The Ballantine had struck an iceberg en route to New York in the dangerous corridor off Newfoundland known as Iceberg Alley, due to its bergs and other flows carried south from Greenland's glaciers. The strike had ripped a massive hole in her forward port quarter, causing her to rapidly take on water and sink with alarming speed below the icy waves. His shipmates, many local men from Liverpool, went down with her, and early reports suggested a mere 84 survivors in total. I raced down to the shipping company offices to queue with the hundreds of others desperate to see if Carl was listed. His name was not there. It was a few days later that the dread telegram arrived. Carl was lost at sea, presumed dead. Dead. The ship had sunk at 2:13 a.m. I thought I would go mad then. Plagued with vivid mental images of him drowning, I took to the whiskey bottle and my bed. Had he cried out for me in his dying moments? And how terrible to die alone, to know you were going to die alone, to never have the chance to say goodbye, but instead to finally resign oneself to one's fate and slip beneath the icy waves at last and sink, freezing and exhausted under the surface, into the fathomless depths of a cold, dark, watery grave. I would have gone mad, I think, had it not been for our mutual friend and landlord, Sidney Hurst, from whom Carl and I rented rooms. He took such fatherly care of me in my grief, being familiar with our intense friendship. He was kindness itself, and let me drink and grieve without censure, only concern, until I was effectively known. I returned to work sooner than I was fit to do so. Externally I wore a stiff upper lip. Internally I was hollow, dead and cold. Bitterly cold inside. Constrained. People who knew of our friendship commiserated, but I could not wear the full extent of my grief upon my sleeve. That would have been regarded as both unseemly and entirely unmanly. Carl had been my friend, not my lover, after all. Had he not? The sinking of the Titanic had passed into legend, but the sinking of their little sister not so. The tragedy was overshadowed by the start of the Great War that began on the 28th of July 1914, and all news of the sinking quickly disappeared from the front pages, and with this, from the national consciousness. The public inquiry received limited attention. I sat through the proceedings in a daze, only coming to life when Carl's name was mentioned, as it inevitably was, approvingly, by survivors who spoke of his dedication to duty and commended him for taking charge of loading the few lifeboats that had successfully made it clear of the doomed liner and had been rescued 5 hours later by the SS Endora. There was no possibility that he himself had survived, however. No chance that he would return. None. But experience was to cure me of such scepticism. Carl continued to haunt my dreams. It became habit that I would be walking in the night, at the calling of my name, and always to find it was 2:13 a.m. Hoodie! Mr. Hurst, having to attend to a business matter in London, was concerned about leaving me alone overnight. I believe he thought that in my grief I might do something untoward, but I assured him not to worry and that all would be well. I owed him nothing less, and I was touched by his concern. I lay in bed that night, listening to the old house creak and settle. I had taken to the habit of sleeping with the night light. I slept fitfully, nonetheless. 2:13 a.m. came, and with it, not just the voice, but the very embodiment of it. Hoodie! I stifled a scream of fright. His face, revealed to me by the candlelight, had undergone a complete alteration. Carl's habitual robustness had given place to a deathly hue. His lips were turned quite blue. My arms involuntarily opened to embrace this man whom I adored. I almost doubted my own eyes at first, for I got no response from him, but then he came to me on the bed and for the longest time lay resting against my chest, mute and inanimate and as cold as death. The look, replete with infinite affection, which he gave me, informed me that he no longer belonged to the material world. I broke the silence. Why didn't you save yourself? I thought there was time. There wasn't time. There wasn't time. He sighed and fell silent. Again it was left to me to break the silence. What was it like, dying? He shook his head in wonderment. I don't remember much. I remember hitting the water. It was freezing. Shocked me into unconsciousness, I reckon. I remember calling your name. And then, nothing. And now? Now you were gone. Where are you existing now? Oh, he laughed. In some kind of waiting room? I think I'm being assessed. Nearly reached the front of the queue. But it has given me the opportunity to visit. Though I think this will be the last opal. His presence, I noted, remained icy cold. My body cannot warm you. No, and beyond that. Hopefully my new body will be an improvement. Your new body? Did you never listen in church on a Sunday? Keep up, matey. We are to be made new on the other side of the veil. Made perfect. You were always perfect. To you, I know. It was both your greatest folly and most charming attribute. Should I come with you? No. You must live, Hoodie. You must live a life for both of us now. Do good in the world, Hoodie. The world needs more Hoods in it. And there will be eternity enough. I'll prepare a place for you for when the time comes. I don't know if I can. I do know. You can and you must live. If you could see the future stretched out before you as I can see it, you would run towards it. He disentangled himself and stood then. Remember what I said? And in the instant he was gone. And I did remember. And there are now more Hoods in the world. I named the eldest, Carl.